Hello everybody, welcome back to the Pressing Matters. I'm Scott, thank you for tuning in. Today I'm going to be taking a look at Pink Floyd's debut album, The Piper at the Gates of Dawn. This is an album I treasure, and I'm so excited to announce that they are going to release a mono edition very shortly. Before I get to that, very briefly, if you're new, I'd love for you to subscribe. It helps out the channel. All you got to do is hit subscribe and notification, and you'll be sure to get all the new content I have coming up. So my history with this album, I remember it so vividly. It was during high school, and excuse me a second. The reigning albums from Pink Floyd were Dark Side of the Moon, of course, Wish You Were Here, which had just come out around the time I was later in high school, and Animals. And people were not listening to earlier Pink Floyd, in my circle anyway. They were all so enamored with the later Pink Floyd, with good reason, of course. I love it too, but I wanted to explore the earlier catalog. And at that time, there was not a lot of, there weren't any reissues of some of the earlier stuff, particularly the two soundtracks and the two earliest albums. The only thing that came close was a 2-album set called A Nice Pair that had reissues of both albums, Piper and Saucerful. The only thing is the American edition substituted a live version of I think it was Astronomy Domine in place of the studio edition. So that kind of ruled out that if you wanted to get the original. The original pressings on Tower, which is a label that they were released on in the United States, were extremely rare. You never saw them. And the mono was even rarer. So I happened to work at a record store, and the owner was really into bringing in imports. And when I saw an import of Piper at the Gates of Dawn, I snagged it right away and played it for myself and my friends. Excuse me. And to say I was surprised is probably an understatement. I was surprised and delighted. Most people that I played it for were like, I don't like this. This is not the Pink Floyd I know. And I understand that reaction. But if you are of a little more adventurous mind and you want to see what they were doing at the beginning, this is the best place to start. Right now, what I have is, I don't have that early, unfortunately, that early import any longer. I do have an import from the UK. It's on the Fame reissue label. And it's pretty good. It's a pretty good sounding stereo edition. I compared it to the digital version when it came out. This is Bernie Grundman's digital stereo edition. And it was interesting. I mean, the Fame is a little bit more, has a little bit more energy in the top end. Sometimes it veers into harshness, I thought, or distortion. Bernie Grundman's is a little smoother in the top, actually a lot smoother, and everything else is preserved perfectly. I think it's a better presentation overall. I guess you could call it a little more audiophile, but either one has its charms. The Fame is a little more brash and bold. This is a little bit more rounded and refined. So that was the stereo. I had never heard the mono until this one. And this This is actually the Record Store Day edition without the psychedelic cover. I do have the hype sticker on it. I took off the psychedelic cover. It's like a black slipcase with a spotted design on the front because it looked pretty delicate and I wanted to preserve it. And I don't know where it is. I'm really getting a little bit concerned because I looked in all the usual places that I might have put it and it's not there. So I know I didn't throw it out. It's here somewhere. I'll find it. But at any rate, this is the record that's going to be reissued in the next few weeks. The same mastering, Bernie Grundman, in mono. I think they're not going to use this special gold Columbia label. Probably not. This designates this one as the Record Store Day edition. I actually picked up the Record Store Day edition on the aftermarket because I wasn't going to wait in line overnight to get that. I don't do that. And it wasn't that much more. I think they went for like $25 on Record Store Day. But I ended up paying $50 for it, and I thought it was well worth it. I love it. The difference between the stereo and mono, it's, how can I say it? Well, if you are used to the idea of mono, like for years I was not. I was like, stereo is it only. I don't care what it is. And over time, I learned that recordings from this era, when there's a stereo and a mono edition, oftentimes the mono will be better. And the case that proved that point to me was Sgt. Pepper, which coincidentally was being recorded at the same studio at around the same time, EMI Studios, as the Pink Floyd Piper. So, yeah. With Sgt. Pepper, it was more of a rock album. I know this is kind of hard to describe, but the stereo on these albums is a little bit gimmicky. And that's okay. It's a psychedelic album. A lot of people are going to prefer stereo for this album because of the swirling sounds and, it makes it a little more trippy, But I prefer the mono on both Sgt. Pepper and this album for its propulsive, direct sound. To me, the message comes across better, and the music comes across better in mono. Especially this mono. It's really, really well done. You would never know it's digital. You could never tell. It doesn't have any harsh, sound or anemic bass or anything like that you might consider a symptom of digital remastering. No, digital remastering has gotten really good, and this is really, really good. The new one's going to be exactly the same sound. And if you've never checked out early Pink Floyd or Syd Barrett, you really need to do that because you might really find that you prefer it over the later Pink Floyd. To me, early Pink Floyd, well, Piper is the complete picture of the Syd years. He was really only on this album and the singles. He has some influence on Saucer Full of Secrets, but it's not that strong. Really, when you want to hear what Syd Barrett is all about, Pink Floyd, The Piper at the Gates of Dawn is the album to do it. This one is a companion, which I consider essential for early Pink Floyd because it combines a few tracks from Piper, but has all the A and B sides of the early singles. And the early singles are very catchy and just a lot of fun. And if you don't have them, it's kind of weird that they didn't put any of that on the debut, but that was kind of the way things were in those days, especially in Britain. They didn't put singles on albums. They were was considered like not a good practice to do that. The singles here you may have heard of before. Arnold Lane and See Emily Play are the big ones. But there's also B-sides, Candy in a Currant Bun, wonderful song. Apples and Oranges, very trippy. It Would Be So Nice is another trippy one. Paint Box, Julia Dream. I mean, this is essential. This is a German issue compilation, and it came in a different cover as well. It had the four of them across, I think from the metal era, that kind of image from the center of the album. And it was surrounded kind of like with colorful sort of cartoon background. And that one is the same record, just a little later reissue, I believe. But it's not complete. Your Syd Barrett education is not complete unless you have the additional tracks as well. But The Piper at the Gates of Dawn is a classic album, and you really have got to check it out. I'm going to leave links below to the Amazon listing for this. It's coming out very soon. If you're interested, check it out. Until next time, I'm Scott for the Pressing Matters. Have a great day.